Hello everybody, you're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. This is the weekly radio show where we take a look at the local arts news. We have a different guest on each week. We head over to the Rhylight Zone for a short story and or some poetry, and we also catch up with Twangling Jack Ford over in the Ilk Shed. Of course, we also play some local unsigned and indie music, and I'm always after new musicians, poets, performers, anyone with MP3s who'd like to get involved, as well as potential guests for the show. You can email me at the studio on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. And you can also find us on Facebook if you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound. If you miss a show, we're repeated on Monday nights here on Wickham Sound. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen Again, and you can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and all of that good stuff. So this week we are going to be chatting to the band San Demas, but before we get to that, we're going to head over to the Rhylight Zone, and here is a little bit of poetry by myself, Dane Cobain. Check it out. Smoke and mirrors, stallions. Who will break the bones, burn the bodies, and direct us beyond the grave to the nearest public house? Who will watch the skies, digging twinkling diamonds pulled out like a rotten tooth? The gaping maw of the cosmos filled with the garbage and detritus of yesterday's triumphs, today's indiscretions, and the crippling defeat we face tomorrow. My name, my real name, is lost on me. I come from a long line of teachers, accountants, chefs, nurses, boat builders. The real meaning of being is screaming in our ears every time we shake hands or tell our women that we love them. We bode well for the future. The liquidity of time's evanescence stoppered in bottles and shattered in storehouses as we sing and we dance and fall over. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Who? My generation is open to life, love, laughter, yet to be broken down by the burdens of adulthood. We have the exuberance of youth, the energy that fades over time. We are in our prime days, numbered, not too late to rock the boat. My generation is the generation which loves meetings, served champagne and strawberries at lunchtime. Brave soldiers passed over for promotion for challenging the status quo. People try to put us down just because we get around. 18 months, the average tenure at your first place of employment. Job hopping every couple of years to keep things fresh. This is alcoholic bribery, and damn it, it works. Pour me another one, Richard, it's Friday and my lover's arms are calling. Chester. The walls fall apart, grass grows green, sprouting and shooting in the boardroom. Slipknot on Spotify, and this theory is 14 and still. Ghosts gather back towards the boiler, part of this place like the walls and doors and floors, elevated, cracked and on the rise. Poisonous dust clouds choking, deoxygenized, lead and tar and soot and sweat, cooling the dying fireball exploding onto the scene since 1989, when my three favourite authors lived under the same sun as me. Baby steps, crying in the corner, and he's chained like a dog to the railings, and his right hand's raised in Tiananmen's second coming. Destruction is deplorable, but sometimes you have to knock down a house if you want to build a home. Parcel tongue. Amy slept with the geckos, eyes closed, mouths open, amyl nitrate in vitro fertilization, and the aeroplanes salute long lines of phosphorescence, tearing the sky a new one. Lizards dressed as people, kings and queens and presidents, long tongues gilt with sweat beads, salient eyes that crisscross, and the stench of death is overwhelming. Passers-by pass by passengers, lighters up, heads down and off forgetful. The sharp taste of vinegar packed in plastic and unescapable nutritional values, buried in the belly of the beast. Leery and uninhabitable, lungs ruptured, heartbeat slowing, skin crawling, expanding cataracts, godforsaken mess in the fields of Jorah's twisted imaginations, finally on trial with the lizard men. Prezi. We are presentable, the sensible, reprehensible electorate, the wrenching stench of benchmarks, politicians' playthings, dark marks on scattergraphs, battered and inanimate, ticking batches of boxes in Birmingham. We have lost our foxes, butchered badgers, bred British bulldogs, born badly bruised, umbilically empirical, like long-lost women conquering countries, expanding empires. We are FMCG, BBC TV in the city, southeast eating meat, wandering the streets with blisters on our feet. PR is easy. Give me a call when you're ready to be famous. VR. Get this into your head. There are infinite universities in our infinite universe, and there are millions of me and millions of you, and somewhere, somewhen, we fell deeply in love with each other, and you would hold my hand and fall asleep beside me. But that is not in this reality, and I don't have the heart to tell you what could have been. You just wouldn't understand, and you would take my hand and throw it right back at me, and I'd retreat into my world reading fiction and fantasy and find a place to call home, if only for half an hour before bed or in the bath or on the bus. Get this into your head. Even our harsh reality is better than the alternative. If you exist only in your mind, then you don't exist at all, and I have fallen in love again with a figment of my imagination. She is so beautiful, the gods marvel at their own ingenuity, and I would go to war for her. Illuminatus. Enchanted creature, long mane bristling, burned desire. Partisan emotions floating downstream as the frost kicks in. Messages in bottles crying for help, saddened and shakeable and lighting the darkness we all must face eventually. The patterns of snowflakes, indistinguishable from children's art, painted from the heart, and the colours are more than colours. One man's hell is another man's hell, neither hot nor cold but infinite grey, and the devastating walls you remember from hangovers, the brutal fear that stilled your heart when the twin towers tumbled down and the world stopped to think and in its infinite wisdom declared a war on terror. I am terrified of the death and the dark and the failings of terror itself. Don't let the fear win or it'll ruin you in the end. Preserve your flesh and bones bottled in formaldehyde and your mind will follow you into the ether. Alright, those were some poems by myself, Dane Cobain. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound, and this is Who You Need by Harry Quinn.
To let it in, let it go so far. And if taking it far means it rains wherever you grant it, you're asleep to the way it ought to be. You are who you need, you are who you need. You will see, you don't need any reaction from those SOEs, and you don't know you want mindset at square one. Same old song, same old version, son. No, there won't be any time for reruns. Play that Jeopardy game, cause inflamed and trouble compounded. You chose the images and then you play the part. Needless for me to say, you are in your own way. Always grounded, sounded like you compliment yourself about it. You are who you need, you are who you need. You will see, you don't need any reaction from those SOVs, and you don't know you want mindset at square one. Same old song, same old version, song. Now there won't be any time for reruns. So what is it for? What did you do to deserve it? What does it matter? Matter at all? What is it for? And what did you do to deserve it? What does it matter? What does it matter? is the only self to break your fall.
Shine down on lovers, pulled in, caught in the scene. And it feels, and it feels, and it feels, and it feels. Red glow on the horizon, red wine rain down on me, and it feels, and it feels, and it feels. Rain, it doesn't matter. Rain, it doesn't bother you. Do you feel it tonight? Pain, it doesn't matter. Stay is what you're built to do. You feel it moving on and on and on when you're happy in the rain, yeah. Three souls under the bright sun, old rye keeping us free. And it feels, and it feels, and it feels, and it feels. Locked down, socially silent, getting harder to breathe. It feels, it feels, it feels. Rain, it doesn't matter. Rain, it doesn't bother you. Do you feel it tonight? Pain, it doesn't matter. Stay is what you're built to do. You feel it moving on and on and on when you're happy in the rain. Rain, it doesn't matter. Rain don't bother you. Pain, you're built to do. Do you feel it moving on and on and on when you're happy in the rain? It's getting harder. You feel it rising. The only escape is just too frightening to consider. A mind of thunder, spirit lightning, crashing slowly, 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 slowly down. Ba-bow-dee-dee-dee, 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 yeah. Ba-bow-dee-dee-dee, 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 yeah, yeah. Ba-bow-dee-dee-dee, 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 yeah. Ba-bow-dee-dee-dee, ba-bow-dee-dee-dee, ba-bow-dee-dee-dee.
That was Rain by Maz Manzini, and before that we had Who You Need by Harry Quinn. Both of those guys were actually at the first gig of this week's guest, which is San Demas. They played at Maz's album launch at Wickham Arts Centre, and Maz is also a member of the band as well. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We're about to catch up with them, so let's go chat to San Demas.
What was the last book that you read and what did you think of it?
Oh, wow. Gosh.
Oh.
The last book I read was, you know, the SAS Who Dares Wins program on Channel 5.
Yeah.
It was Ant Middleton's first one. And I thought it's really cool. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to like military stuff like that. So it's really interesting and some hilarious stories in there as well. It was just quite inspiring. That was it, really.
Cool. So obviously I want to talk about San Demas today. And I thought a good place to start would be for you to chat about who's in the band and what instruments they play.
Okay. Natalie, do you want to introduce yourself?
No. Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm the lead singer. I don't know what else to say. We've got Josh. Over to you.
Yeah, I'm Josh. I started the band with my brother Rich, who writes the tunes and plays guitar. I play drums, and we have our mutual friend Maz Manzini on bass.
Cool.
Yeah, we started jamming with Maz before lockdown, and obviously couldn't progress anywhere. And when it came to his album launch, which you were there for, yeah, that was our debut show, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, we just progressed from there.
Well, I was going to ask like how you guys formed. So was it very much just off the back of those jam sessions?
So me and Rich have been writing together for years. We were in an old Wickham band called Simple Reason back in the day, and we've just been writing and recording since. And we've known Maz for years as well, being in his band, and our friend Natalie, who's killer on vocals. We just
Thank you.
got her into for the show, and Maz and Natalie have become members, and yeah, that's how it started, really.
Cool.
And I'm absolutely loving it. So absolutely loving it.
I was going to ask Natalie. So, like, do you have any input on like the lyric writing process, or is it just sort of you're given the lyrics, sort of learn this?
Well, right now, yeah, I've just been literally learning what Josh has written, actually, because Josh is amazing with the vocal, like the lyrics and stuff is actually amazing. And I just fell in love with the songs. So I just learnt them and then sang them for them. Originally, it was supposed to be just like me coming to help them, and yeah, it's gone on from there.
Sweet. So obviously you guys recently released your first single as well, and I think I saw, so it's hit because you've got the video for it as well, and that hit 1,000 views in like a couple of days or whatever as well.
Yes.
What have you found like the response to have been like from people from that single?
It's such a surreal feeling to see. I mean, Natalie's a solo artist as well, so it's probably the same for her. But just seeing something you've created, it's quite a vulnerable thing, releasing it to the world now, as everything is on the internet. And we were sort of in two minds what to expect, because obviously we're quite proud of what we've made and we think it's pretty cool. But it's quite humbling putting yourself out there, and we were just overwhelmed by the response, really. You
I've seen all like,
you go
sorry.
for it.
I was just like seeing all like friends and family, like with the support that we've had through this process, has been absolutely amazing. Like cannot like literally thank them enough as well. And the fact that we've had such good response for it as well, it's just more of like a dream. It's like surreal.
Yeah, it's super flattering and humbling, and yeah, we just feel really grateful. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it sort of shows that you're doing something right in a way as well. I mean, is it kind of giving you like some momentum to, go ahead and like release an EP or release another single and stuff?
Yeah. So we recently recorded with legendary producer Justin Hill, and we recorded 2 songs, and we were going to stagger the 2, but getting the mixes back for Wait and Wonder and the other track, we were like, let's do 2 more, because we've got like 4 or 5 songs in our set. We're like, let's just go for it. And getting those mixes back as well, we're so chuffed with the quality. So we're just going to stagger releases throughout next year until we have enough for like an album or an EP or something. So yeah, it has spurred us on to, and sort of encouraged us and put our minds at ease about releasing more and how they're going to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because, as you say, I guess like you and your brother have been sort of playing together for a while, and sort of then there was the lockdown and sort of absolutely nothing happening, and you've sort of emerged from it like guns blazing in a bit as well, because you've been playing quite a few shows recently, because you played in London somewhere, didn't you? And you played the Phoenix as well, right? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we played Maz's album launch in September, and then we played the Beehive in Bow. I don't know what month that was. November. It was November, and then we played the Phoenix the following week. Yeah, 12th and 19th. Yeah.
Cool. And are you like currently looking at booking in sort of more shows in the new year?
So we started messaging venues and promoters earlier on, but without a release or a video, it was quite hard to market ourselves. So now we've had this launch, and the responses and the stream count and the view count, we feel like we've got a bit more weight to promote ourselves. So yeah, that'll be the push for the new year. Yeah.
Well, that shows that there's an interest in what you're doing as well, and like the promoters are going to just want to know that you're going to be able to bring people along. And again, if you can say, well, when we released our video, we got this many hits, and people asking us when we're going to be gigging and things like that. So yeah, it should definitely help.
Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to ask about is the name, because I think that the name story is quite fun. So can you let us know where the name came from and whose idea it was?
So we're very open, even though it's quite nerdy, with admitting that it's from one of mine and Rich's favourite childhood films, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It's actually a real place in California, but slightly different spelling. But on the back of our DVD, old school DVD, it was spelt with an E. And there was another artist who had already taken DIMAS anyway, so it worked in our favour. But when we decided to launch this project and we needed a name for Maz's show and a name to put to our social media handles and everything like that, we wanted to sort of go back to our childhood, what inspired us. And we listened to the Bill and Ted soundtrack when we were younger on repeat. Our dad used to blast it in the car and stuff, so we were just like, we played with different concepts of that era and what inspires us, and San Demas just had a cool ring to it, so it stuck as a project name, and now it's our name.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of like you needed a name, and then that was like that. This will do, and then it's sort of taken on I guess, like a life of its own almost.
Yeah, we just sort of penciled it in, played with some fonts, and you say it to yourself, and you sort of. Well, in our old band, we used to like chuck our band name in amongst some of our favorite artists to see how it looks on the bill,
right,
and everything like that. Just San Demas, it just looked cool.
Cool. And how would you guys? How would you describe your sound and maybe like some of the influences?
For Rich, bands like U2 and The Police were heavy influences, lots of reverb, lots of delay. But in terms of heavy sound, we used to like blast out Paramore, Killswitch Engage, The Used, those sort of bands. And I don't know, really, it's hard because Rich just has a signature sound. And if you listen to old band stuff and the new stuff that we've got in the works coming up, you're just like, yeah, that's just got Rich's signature on it. It's hard to sort of say who we sound like, really, but yeah, influences are like Paramore, The Used, lots of emo, post-hardcore, heavy bands. That's
good. That's good that you've got that sort of signature sound as well, because that will, again, when you get to releasing your EP or whatever, it will, tie all of the songs together, and you can kind of play with different sort of almost different genres, but it's still going to sound like the same band,
Yeah, there'll always be reverb, delay, and heavy breakdowns.
Cool.
Big chorus for Natalie to show off her
I just do headbanging.
So
I get lost in the songs. I get so lost in them. I love them.
I was going to ask you, Natalie, like, who are some of the vocalists who kind of inspired you and who made you sort of start singing?
I'll take it way back to Dusty Springfield.
Nice.
Literally when I was younger, because I brought up with all the old classics when I was younger. The Carpenters, literally love that. So obviously I have my own music as well. So but it's a completely different sound. So I sort of fell into this. Now it's like my new love. But yeah, I would say Dusty Springfield, the Carpenters, obviously Christina Aguilera. I have to put my hands up to her. She's got amazing vocals. She's one of my inspirations, all-time inspirations. But yeah, Peggy Lee, Mary Wells, all of those kind of artists. I grew up with, and then just sort of started singing all of their songs and the live affairs, and started doing covers, and then started writing my own music, and then obviously met Rich and Josh, and then fell into it and just feel like a family now. I actually love it.
And so obviously we talked a bit about that first gig at the Arts Centre supporting Maz. How do you think the gig went? How was it as a first gig?
I think. You go for it.
I thought it was amazing, because it's the first time I've properly been with a band, and it was just surreal, on stage with the live music, everyone just going for it. I actually loved it, but let you speak, John.
Very similar, really. I mean, because it was our first show and years in the making, I was just sort of completely caught up in the moment, really. So people have been very complimentary about how we performed and how it sounded in our songs, because no one had heard any of them before. We had some some instrumental demos, and only a handful of people had even heard those. So it was pretty fresh for everyone. But yeah, honestly, I was just completely wrapped up in the moment and just enjoyed it. Played as best I could.
You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. I'm here in conversation with San Demas, and this is their new single, Wait and Wonder.
Why is it the simplest things always seem to take
That was Wait and Wonder by San Demas. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and I'm here in conversation with the band themselves to over to San Demas.
Okay, so I wanted to ask actually about the music video for the new single. Like, what was the process like for getting that shot and edited, and who worked on it?
It was originally just going to be sort of a lower budget performance video, but we met with a company called Raw Pictures, who's Natalie has used for her stuff as well, and we recently used in a covers video, and they're just the coolest group of guys, and they just said they're really kind actually. They said that after listening to the song, it sort of deserves a bit more production if we've got the budget. I don't know if it's just a clever sales pitch or what, but it worked. And we had to quickly find a venue, and we managed to do that. Studio 88 in Wickham, awesome place for photo shoots and video. So shouts out to them as well. And yeah, just had a couple of meetings, threw a couple of ideas around, and just trusted them with the process, and just spent the day.
They are just so good. Like, they're brilliant. Like, they're really good friends, become really good friends of mine now, and they just work so great. Like, they're so quick, they're so professional, they're so like on it. They know what they're talking about, they know what they want, and they always make it a little bit fun as well, like when you're working with them. So it's really cool. It was a bit one of the scenes I had to do in the video. I got a bit of whiplash afterwards, having to jump from a height and land on a bed. I think I broke it.
It's worth it for the art, though.
Yeah, it was fun though. I did enjoy it because I love things like that. I do like aerial hoop and silks and flying trapeze, so it's stuff that I love to do. So I like throwing myself off things.
It's like a new experience as well. Cool. So during your live shows as well, I don't know if I'm not sure if you do this at all of them, but you've like worn the like war paints a few times. You did at the Art Centre anyway, and I'm sure I saw in another one you did, like the things across your face.
Yeah.
What was the like? Where did the decision to do that come from, or was it just a spur of the moment thing?
We just thought of it as an idea. Again, it's a bit of a throwback to Bill and Ted and that sort of era where like it was sort of bands did that sort of thing, and also we love American sports, and it's like the high school like rock and roll thing, and we just thought it was cool for the gig, and it's just become Richard's signature thing. So he's wearing it in the video as well. It's just sort of in the moment. We just sort of gave it a go.
Yeah, I mean, it makes for some cool photos and stuff as well. So
yeah,
cool. A few more questions. I don't have too many more to go through anyway, but I wanted to ask as well. So again, you've talked about recording a few different tunes and potentially putting that together into an EP. Mm-hmm. Do you have any like ideas around that EP for things like cover art and titles and things like that, or you're not quite at that stage yet?
So we've got 3 more recorded and ready for release. I don't know if it will be an EP or just staggered singles, but they all have like fairly different themes. So I think I'd personally like to release them as staggered singles throughout next year, like a spring, a summer, and an autumn one, and just each release have its own concept around it. A lot of like Wait and Wonder and a couple of the other ones, they just sing about positivity and hope and, you know, looking after each other, and especially in, I hate to say, like current circumstances and things like that, people really need a boost, and encouraging friends to speak out if they're having problems and stuff. So I think, you know, give each single its time and it's what it's worth, really.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about cover, but I think their own special release and concept and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and will you be doing videos for each of the singles as well?
I'd love to. I think we'd all love to, but it just depends on how much savings we all have.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So in terms of like what's next for you guys, so we've talked a little bit about this, and obviously you've got these singles that you're hoping to put out. What else have you got planned for 2022?
It's purely schedule these releases, try not to be too keen with them. Rich wants to hit the new year with a bang, but Wait and Wonder's literally just been dropped, and want to give it its time. But staggered releases, videos, and just gig as much as possible.
Yeah.
We'd love to get on some festivals and things like that. It would just be so much fun.
Will you be trying to like hide gigs around the releases of the singles to sort of more heavily promote the singles, or you're just going to be looking to get just as many gigs as you can kind of throughout the year?
A bit of both, really. We'd like to make it's all just about pulling people to venues as well, which can be quite difficult at the moment. We do have a gig at the Phoenix lined up for the 15th, but I'm sort of holding my breath with that now, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. So if that has to be rescheduled, then I guess we could make a bigger deal of it towards the end of February with the next release or something. But yeah, from now, it'll just be trying to get as many shows as possible if everyone's diaries match up. Yeah.
And I mean, that kind of speaks to obviously like how COVID's affected the music industry and whatnot. But again, it sounds as though in some ways, like, it hasn't been too bad for you, because as you were sort of gearing up for your, first gig and things like that, it was as we were coming out of lockdown. So, because I've spoken to a lot of people who, work who are in groups or whatever, and, it's a year without, being able to see your bandmates and things like that, and people trying to do online gigs and struggling with tech and all of this stuff. So you've kind of dodged that in some ways.
Yeah. We were really lucky with that, with when Maz's launch came around. And up until now, really, got some gigs under our belt and shot a video and released a single. So
cool,
good.
And Josh, I wanted to ask you as well, because I mean, as you say, you've been sort of in and around the Wickham scene a bit. Who are some of like the local bands whose stuff you really enjoy?
With our old band, we were lucky enough to gig a lot with Young Guns, who became cool friends, and we had the pleasure of like just seeing them grow, tour America, do amazing things as a band. Also This Dying Hour, who've started making a comeback as well. We gigged with them a lot, with their old lineup with Sean and Dave, and so we're hopefully going to get back on with them. In terms of like solo artists as well, I'm a fan of Maz's music, as well as being lucky enough to gig with him. And there's a guy called Harry Quinn who also played the launch. Quality singer-songwriter, amazing.
Such amazing vocals. Yeah, such amazing vocals.
Yeah. That's just I can think of.
Harry in particular, like playing in the church as well. It's like it's perfectly suited the acoustics and whatnot, kind of perfect to him. So yeah, he was a good choice as a support act.
Yeah, awesome sound.
Cool. And just the last thing really, which is, so where can people find out more about you? So I guess the main thing we want people to check out is the new video. So where's best to watch that?
So there'll be, if you go to any of our social profiles, which I believe are all San Demas music, there'll be a link tree in our bio, and you can watch the video live on that, or go straight to your preferred streaming platform from there. Or if you just search San Demas with an E, Wait and Wonder on YouTube, it should come up now. On our Facebook, it's pinned to the top of the page.
Big thank you to San Demas for joining me. You're listening to The Archer on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and this is Power and Steel by Maz Manzini from his new album.
Here lies the power in steel. Steel it is ours, this is the part. Here lies the power in steel. Steel it is ours, this is the part. Here lies the power in steel. Steel it is ours, this is the part. Here lies the power in steel. This is the part, this is the part. Stars, no moonlight. Trees towering up. This vista keeps moving. The noise, the flow. Forges
got the views? Where's the fuse? One of you dogs has got the fuse. Fire 'em up, ready to go. Fire 'em up, ready to go. Fire 'em up, ready to go. Fire 'em up, ready to go.
Take me walking through the park, through the brambles, through the dark. And I still have the sky and a home. You shaped escaped with me for a moment. Twins and used to play for a moment, for a moment. So toss your ego in the sea. Don't want me, that's news to me. 'Cause I still live rent free in you. In the me-shaped hole. Crawl right out of my skin for a moment. 'Cause I'd do anything for a moment, for a moment, for a moment, for a moment.
That was U-Shaped Hole featuring Tim Pennell and Zach Moore by Jordana Blake. Before that we had Power and Steel by Maz Manzini. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host Dane Cobain, and it's time for us to head over to the Oak Shed to catch up with Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review.
Ray Davies, See My Friends. Ray Davies' British songwritings also ran that as time went on became an unsung hero and then eventually became regarded as one of the all-time greats. See My Friends is an album credited to Ray Davies, but it's actually a series of performances of his songs done with other artists. I found this album in a charity shop, though I was familiar with it, having borrowed a copy from the library when it first came out. The song Better Things, sung with Bruce Springsteen, is a belter of an opener. However, the bombastic Springsteen brawl is totally mismatched with Ray Davies' more fragile and subtle performance. It is not a song I am familiar with, but apparently it is one of Bruce's favourite Kinks songs. Celluloid Heroes, with John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora, a song originally on the Kinks album Everybody's in Showbiz, benefits from a more modern production which gives the song a well-deserved grandiosity that would have been unavailable to the Kinks in the early 70s. The banjo-driven acoustic Mumford & Sons take on a medley of This Time Tomorrow and Days. I could have done with more of Days, which is for me one of the greatest of the Kinks songs. Long Way From Home with Lucinda Williams is just gorgeous. Metallica do their usual thing of compressing all the dynamics out of You Really Got Me to make everything louder than everything else. A fitting and obvious tribute to what is often claimed to be the first ever heavy metal song. Their commitment and energy left me almost a bit tearful. I have seen many Waterloo sunsets, and all were accompanied in my mind by the Kinks' great London anthem. Jackson Browne gives it a different and interesting take. All of the Day and All of the Night with Billy Corgan is very bouncy and upbeat, but once again they chose to mash it up with another inferior song and some spoken passages. There are also tracks with Alex Chilton, Black Francis, Amy MacDonald, Gary Lightbody and Spoon, all performing great songs that probably don't need celebrity endorsement, but they are all treated with total respect and recorded with the care, precision and clarity they were probably not allowed back when pop music was considered ephemeral. Knock 'em out quick, here today, gone tomorrow, sell your soul to the company who are waiting there to sell plasticware, as the Byrds so eloquently sang. The one song I thought was a mistake was Paloma Faith doing Lola, a song that makes absolutely no sense as a duet. See My Friends, Ray Davies.
Big thank you to Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review. Thank you to San Demas for joining me, and to all of the musicians whose music I shared. As always, you can reach out to me here at the studio on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain @wickhamsound.org.uk. You can also find us on Facebook if you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound. And you can catch us if you miss a show. We're repeated on Monday nights on Wickham Sound. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen Again. And we're also on iTunes, Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. So I'm going to leave you with one last tune this week. And this is Rock City by The Ilk, which is my band, full disclosure. I will see you and speak to you next week.
They serenade on their guitars in the city, yeah. On empty streets beneath the stars, Rock City, yeah. It's always been this way. Musicians searching for somewhere to play in the city, Rock City, yeah. In the city, Rock City, yeah. There must be a jukebox in every bar, and a radio playing in every car. Jukebox rumble, the beat goes on in the city, yeah. One long party, one long song, Rock City, yeah. And as the sun goes down, the music's coming up from underground in the city, Rock City, yeah. In the city, Rock City, yeah. It's easy to find, you're already there. Rock City is everywhere. Rock City. Celebrate on their guitars in the city, yeah. On empty streets beneath the stars, Rock City, yeah. And as the sun goes down, the music's coming up from underground in the city, Rock City, yeah. In the city, Rock City, yeah. In the city, Rock City.
Rock City, yeah. In the city, Rock City, yeah. It's easy to find, you're already there. Rock City is everywhere. Yeah, Rock City, yeah.